can you? This is a great spot.
This is sickening.
Contest leverage for days.
Hello world, and welcome back to Gridiron Gamble, the only podcast that puts its money where its mouth is. I'm your host, Rich Ryan, and I'm joined by two members of the collective, the Disciple, Brett Colson, and the resident moose himself, Mo Nuwara. Donnie is doing something poker tonight, commentating for the Super High Roller Bowl for Poker Go. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. You will see a frame of Donnie still, so we can still get his picks in the graphics. As always, we will have a star for all games that appear in a host's top 5. Listeners, please subscribe to the podcatcher you are listening to, rate and review 5 stars only, like Ryan Perilou. That's a name. Look at Mo.
I thought you were doing current players.
Give us something that we know.
So I grabbed this one like 2 seconds before we recorded. I just saw a funny name and I just went for it.
What year?
I have no idea. I just have a Google Doc of names.
2009 or something.
Bounce back week for the collective, 4-1 in the contest. We did lose our 4th and final survivor entry, but we won't focus on that. We'll focus on the positive. Back above 500, 8-7 on the season. No member of the collective matched that 4-1 record. Brett came close at 3-1-1. The rest of the group, including the collective, went 3-2. So we ran above average. Brett, why are you so upset?
Because that push for me was a fake push. Like, I never would have had that game on the card if we had tinkered on Saturday.
Hashtag tinkering. We've been discussing that we need to do some sort of tinkering on Saturday. We give you guys the content. We give you guys our raw, unfiltered selections for the week. But then Friday practice reports come out. We hear each other's opinions, which we do value. We hope you value as well. And maybe with some tinkering, we can get like an extra couple percentage points out of this process. But we start every show, as always, with split games, and we start with an AFC North tilt between the Baltimore Ravens and the Cleveland Browns. This one bounced around off of the look ahead of Browns as home dogs plus 1.5. It is now -3 in real life, but Circa is showing 2.5. So very interesting discussion with regards to the line value that is being taken away by Circa. But let's get straight into it, and we'll start with Brett, who absolutely loved the Browns last week in a smash spot, loved laying the hook as a contrarian, and is back on a contrarian side this time. Or
how is this
he?
contrarian?
Or is he? I was going for the head fake. This is the absolute donk side with this number, Brett.
Yeah, but the market's gone too far with the Ravens here. And I think you just have to buy them at the spot. The way to neutralize this Browns defense is to grind them down in the rush game, in the short passing game. Don't give them opportunities to break down a pocket. It should be pretty simple, right? Like, the Browns offense isn't going to run up a score on you. They're not going to score 35 points on you. Just develop a game plan where you can control the clock and just play smart football. Plus, you got these Ravens injured players coming back this week. The offensive line, that's huge. So I think the market's still too down on Baltimore here, and everybody's talking about the Browns right now. I think the look ahead on this was Ravens -1.5, which I think was wrong.
I was going to say,
clearly.
The look ahead was just wrong. This is the computers love Baltimore. Year in and year out, all these regression models absolutely love the Ravens.
Even still, I think the Ravens are the side here.
Mo, you too, on the donk side.
How is this the donk side? Cleveland is the donk side.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, 2.5 in the contest.
100% they're the donk side.
So this is the sharp side. Is it ever going to get...
This is a tremendous side.
Is it ever going to come off the 3? I'm confused by this.
We need this to stay 3 so that nobody clicks on the Ravens. Everybody clicks on the Browns because the Ravens are going to win. That's what's going to happen in this game.
They very well could.
I should give them their due respect because this is a sounder.
Give them the other sounder too. Money bet line.
Ooh, I have to scroll back now. You're making
come on
for me. It's on two different pages.
Last week, multiple high leverage plays were ruined because the Ravens couldn't snap the ball. Okay, they got their center back this week. That's going to be massive here. And yes, the Browns, I completely agree with Brett. I like the way the Ravens match up here because of Lamar Jackson's running, specifically, hopefully keeping Myles Garrett honest in this spot. Okay, this is a must.
Yeah,
because
Browns
he might be the best player in the world. That's not Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, Browns number one in pressure rate. Myles Garrett absolutely causing havoc. I had no real opinion on this game, so we'll move on to Pats. I guess I have to pick up the Shield. Why did I ultimately click Cleveland in this spot? I like the number. We're getting a free half point, so I had to click it given the number, and I put it all the way down because I know it's going to be extremely popular, and I will have no interest in this being near our card. So we move to another game, one which Mo talked about on the other show, and that is Patriots at Cowboys. This was a 7.5 look ahead in favor of Big D. Opened at 7, still at 7, but Circa is predicting a move off of the full touchdown at 6.5 in the contest. And Mo, this is giving us a great leverage opportunity to take the plus 6.5 while people may think they have value coming off the 7. And if it holds, just like the last game, we might be able to get the Pats with a little bit of leverage here.
I wonder about that. Just because people hate laying points in the contest, but I don't see a lot of people clicking the Pats. I will say that. And yeah, I think the Pats match up just fine against Dallas. I think Dallas is still overrated, dude. They beat two absolutely god-awful teams, and then the second somebody punched them in the mouth, they crumbled. Okay? But Patriots aren't just going to go out there and fold. It's the Patriots. It's Belichick. This is going to be a dogfight, dude. And they have the ability to just punch them in the mouth with Ramondre Stevenson and a little bit of Zeke Elliott revenge because Dallas can't stop the run. This has been a problem for multiple years for Dallas. I know that the numbers claimed they were good against the run last year. I didn't think they were when I watched them. And they got absolutely demolished up front by Arizona. And you have a coaching staff that's full of veteran coaches. I think they can game plan and hopefully neutralize Micah Parsons. And the total is 43. Why is Dallas laying this many points? I don't know what's going on here because this is basically saying Dallas is going to practically shut out the Patriots, and this offense is fine. They quit against the Jets, dude. They quit playing football.
They stopped trying.
And they didn't care to keep scoring.
They were so nitty because they just knew.
They just kneeled the ball.
As long as Zach Wilson didn't pull a miracle out of his hat, there was no chance the Jets were coming back. So they just knitted it up the whole game. They didn't take a single snap in the red zone. They weren't trying on offense. Super conservative game plan. You talk about the Cowboys beating up on bad teams. They're third in the league in EPA gained off turnovers. New England is 28th in EPA gained off turnovers. What is a good remedy for that if you're New England? How about Dak Prescott, who loves giving the ball to the other team? So, yeah, I think this is a boatload of points. I'm definitely down on the Cowboys. The Diggs injury, that's still a thing. Like, they might not have the emotional hangover still of having their guy be out for the season in the middle of the week, but they're still not going to have him in the secondary, and he is a tremendous player. Brett, you've got to pick up the Shield for the Dallas Cowboys.
I can't. I want to change my pick. You guys made way too many good points there.
Donnie the Lone Wolf. All right, well, I guess Donnie has to pick up the Shield. I have sound from him on this game, straight from the Poker Go studio.
I did want to really love the Cowboys in this spot, but tick them down a couple of spots because this is a lot of points to lay. But ultimately, I think this should probably be 7 or 7.5. I mean, I think that game last week for New England was kind of predictable. I mean, I think that I specifically said it was going to pretty much play out like it did. and it did. You know, I'm not taking too much home from that game. I mean, I think Bill Belichick and the Patriots just tend to own Zach Wilson and the New York Jets. This game coming up, this is a completely different animal. You have the Cowboys coming off a complete stinker against the Cardinals, so they're going to look to get right. I mean, I just don't see ultimately how the Patriots offense, led by Mac Jones, is able to do well if they're going to be under pressure against an aggressive defense in a game that I think they're going to need to score points. You know, people can go down Narrativeville with the whole Ezekiel Elliott revenge game and all that sort of stuff, but I don't see it. I really like the Cowboys here. I think they're going to just blow the Patriots out of the water.
Zeke revenge. We didn't even mention it. How many spooning first downs?
I did too. You were not listening to me.
You said Zeke, but you didn't say the word revenge. Did you say the word revenge?
I did. I said a little bit of Zeke revenge.
Sorry. Apologies. I was, I juggle a lot of balls over here in the producer's chair. The final split game, Broncos at Bears. Man, oh man. Mo Nuora, you have stones the size of the moon because you absolutely love the Chicago Bears this week.
Does it have a star by it?
There's a star.
You have to put a star by it.
There's a star.
How can you? This is a great spot.
This is sickening.
Contest leverage for days. Everyone's going to want to
leverage.
The
Are people going to click the Broncos? Are fake
Why
sharks?
not? Why won't they? Everyone.
They just got lost by 50. That's
who was the worst last week? The Bears. Okay, the Broncos at least scored points. Yeah, it got out of hand late, but nobody was worse than the Bears. If the Chiefs were trying, the Bears would have lost 63-0 last week. Okay, it's the Chiefs in Arrowhead. They played the best team on the road. Now they're playing the Broncos at home. Every single team has moved the ball on the Broncos, right? Who hasn't? Washington scored 35. They were marching up and down the field. Why can't the Bears score 24 points here?
Why can't the Broncos score 30? That's the problem.
Maybe they will.
Broncos offense has been very good. Yeah. So I went into this exercise wanting to love the Broncos because if there was ever a game, I said this on Breaking the Boxes, if there was ever a game where Chicago was going to, the 53 guys in the locker room, we're all going to look at each other and say, look, forget everything, forget the coaches, forget the media. Like, this is us, right? This is our team, our game. Let's go out there and ball out. And yeah, they could still lose to the Chiefs, but you would think there'd be some heart rankings, right? There'd be some level of effort.
Listen, it's
there was
the Chiefs.
Absolutely.
This is the Broncos, dude.
Right, but for them to get pasted like that in a spot where if there was ever an us against the world, for them to just get absolutely steamrolled. I mean, Taylor Swift stomping on your grave from the skybox. I mean, what's the point for the Bears moving forward? And then you've got the Broncos lost by 50. I mean, Sean Payton probably had them running laps all week this week.
They're running laps right now, as we speak.
But I just couldn't do it because what's the cardinal rule of betting pro sports, betting pro football? Never lay points with bad teams. This is a bad team on the road. Can't do it. Brett.
Giving 3.5. This is the week Chicago scores a few points. Justin Fields hasn't had 10 snaps in a game where he was halfway comfortable yet. The Broncos have a negative pass rush, dude. Sam Howell was picking them apart. Justin Fields is way more talented than Sam Howell. Come on. This is a great spot for the Bears.
Dead last. 32nd in pressure rate, 27th in adjusted sack rate. Brett, pick up the shield for the Broncos.
I wanted to love the Bears in this spot, but I had nightmares of my week 2 Bears pick. I just watching that game against the Bucks. I just that offense is so ugly. But Mo's right, and I don't know what to do with this. Like, you would think the Bears would be able to figure some things out on offense against this pitiful Broncos defense, especially the secondary. But like, why can't Russ just shred this Bears secondary too? Like, this defensive back unit is just ravaged. So I clicked Broncos, but I don't know. I kind of want to dive into this one a little bit more, though. I like the over, too. I think there's going to be points in this game.
How can you not?
So, I think there's going to be 50 points in this game. So, if there's going to be 50 points, you would think I would have to land on the Bears, right? So maybe I will.
Look at us. We're just over here convincing the disciple.
I know all these plays at the bottom of my card. I'm like flipping.
Yeah, these are definitely
I don't know.
Nowhere near the top of Brett's card. So that's it. 3 split games, which means there's a lot of Lone Wolf defense upcoming. Mo's Lone Wolves have been crushing so far, and he has a trio, one of which bubbled his top 5, and it's that time of year. Mo folded his Friars and is taking the Atlanta Falcons +3 across the pond against the London Jacksonville Jaguars. Mo, you did it. I'm proud of you.
Are you? You're proud of me? You're on my team here?
No, I'm not. You're a lone wolf, but I'm proud of you for folding your Friars.
Listen, I put the Falcons above the Jaguars in my power rankings this week. I don't know if that's right.
What?
I mean, they're like 4 spots apart.
There's no way that's right.
Why is it not right? What if the Jaguars stink?
I've been saying they stink, but they're still better than the Falcons.
I mean, this is +3 on neutral. Do you have everything? Do you have everything not nailed down on the Falcons?
No, because I'm just like, has to be the bounce back spot for a team that was supposed to be competing for the number 1 seed, playing for their season pretty much. I mean, they lose this, they're buried. I mean, especially in the AFC. I mean, you should get just max Jaguars, backs to the wall here, throw everything they can. But I just can't get to 3 here. I don't know how you can get to 3 here. The Jaguars are awful so far, man.
They're awful. They've been good at one thing so far, and one thing only: stopping the run. 3rd in rush defense EPA, 2nd in rush D success rate.
Stylistically, I'm like, well, this is a good spot for them.
They're 3rd in defensive line yards. It's bizarre. This is a team that should be good at stopping the pass. Well, they got their defense their secondary is so bad. But this is rule of who cares if your secondary is bad if Desmond
I know
Ritter's
it's like the dream matchup for the Jags. It really is. But I'm also just like, what if they're not good?
Yeah. Well, I think they're good at passing.
I know the Falcons have a good defense. That's a good defense.
Yes, the Falcons do have a good defense, but does good defense beat good offense? Brett, you've got the Jaguars in your top 5.
I mean, the Jags have been so bad in high leverage so far. 3rd down, 4th down, they've been absolutely awful. They've been turning the ball over all over the place. So, I mean, I feel like this is a good spot for them to bounce back. I think this game really comes down to first quarter, first half, and how these teams perform early. If the Jags go up a couple scores, how do we expect Desmond Ridder to make up ground playing from behind? This is not a team that is built to throw the football, which is insane to say given the draft capital they have burned on these pass catchers over the past 3 years. But this is where we are.
Not to mention the offensive line.
Yeah. And how do you attack this Jags D? Through the air. I don't like this matchup for Atlanta. Traveling in a game where if they come out of the gate slow and the script falls out of their favor, they don't appear to have the capability to get a consistent pass game going and get chunks. And as far as like the travel side of it, you guys know in the past I've stayed away from the London game, but this Jags team's made this trip enough times that I think there's probably a bit of a travel advantage, like albeit slightly, but
I think T-Law's got a flat at Piccadilly Circus by now.
Yeah, like advantage maybe. It's at the very least, I think some of the travel variance we worry about is taken out of these London games when the Jags are making this trip. So,
well, it's definitely taken out next week.
That's right.
Yeah, for sure.
Back to back. In
sucks.
foggy old London town for the Jags.
All-time travel advantage. There will never be a bigger one.
Well, do they have to bye in week 6? Because if not, I think that's one of the all-time travel disadvantages because their body clocks will have 2 weeks of playing in Britain.
They must.
And then all of a sudden, they're back in the States. It can be devastating. Mo's next lone wolf. He's got another bird. It's Seattle at New York, the Giants, that is. The Hawks were short road favorites on the look ahead, but this has steamed back towards the G-Men. Mo, why do you have Geno and them boys?
I saw Seattle -1 a little bit ago, but yeah, this one is, I really want to love Seattle, but because their passing offense has such a massive advantage over these dreadful corners, and I've looked up how they've performed against the blitz. Geno's been very strong against the blitz so far, and he was pretty solid last year as well. So I don't think he's going to be fazed by the Giants bringing 7 guys. Wow. By the Giants bringing 7 guys every single play. I think ODB got us on this one, by the way.
That wow was a tipped interception from Jordan Love too.
Things are not going well for the Packers. But yeah, the spot is rough, man. Travel cross country, and the Giants have a massive rest advantage with Thursday to Monday, and
they only played a half of football against the Niners. Let's be honest. They rested everybody. They went through the motions. It was basically a walkthrough for the Giants. I love this spot for the Giants. I'm all over the G-men. While they don't have very many weapons on the outside, Daboll against this soft-ass Hawks defense is a dream spot. The Giants have played the toughest schedule so far, right? By playing Cowboys and Niners, and if the Cardinals aren't at the bottom of the barrel in a game where they were down 4 touchdowns and crawled their way back, which was partly Arizona being not so great, but also the Giants doing it in the second half, 5 consecutive scoring drives. Like, yeah, I think this is a good spot for a team to bounce back after getting absolutely trounced last week. And a Seattle team, which is middle of the pack, can show a little bit of life on offense. And, Brett, I think a team where when people need to pick 5 games, they're just going to say Seattle needs to win a game. Of course they can win a game. I think Seattle's going to be fairly popular, and I like the Giants as a leverage spot.
Where is this going to close? Is this going to close Seattle minus? Because that's going to, well, not close, but on Saturday when the contest closes, what's this line going to
I don't think it gets higher than 1.5, 2 in either direction. If anything, it's going to go towards Seattle, right? I think Seattle -1, what we're seeing now in some markets, is probably where it's going to land. But this doesn't get...
Yeah, and I think that's wrong.
I think so, too.
So, yeah, I like the Giants. I like the Giants, too. It's a weird one, because when I put my power rankings together on Monday, I had the Hawks 12 or 14 spots ahead of the Giants.
Oh, I thought you said 12. I thought you were going to say they're 12th in the league.
I might have.
I had them something like that.
Ugh, their defense is so bad. I guess the league's just so bad right now.
Yeah, it's rough. But, yeah, I mean, I don't see it that way here on Thursday night as we record this. Like, the Giants get Andrew Thomas back this week, probably.
Saquon as
Daniel
well.
Jones actually
Saquon practicing as well. If there's ever a team where running backs matter, it's the team that doesn't have any receivers.
So yeah, I mean, when Daniel Jones actually has time to throw the football, this offense can click. He had Saquon, and this Giants offense is actually going to look like itself again against the Seattle defense. 27th pass defense EPA, 31st in success rate so far. They've been torched here early in the season. So yeah, give me Daboll and Jones. I like this one a lot.
But that's the other thing is I was like, you gotta pass all over the Seattle team. Like anybody can do it, right? But who are the Giants throwing to?
Your boy.
Something Hyatt?
No,
No.
Waller, your favorite.
Okay, I know, exactly. He's a corpse. Remember when people tried to get excited about him? I told them stop. Stop it. He stopped taking PEDs 4 years ago. Am I allowed to say that on this podcast?
Yeah, why not?
All right. He stopped taking PEDs, and that was the end of Waller's meaningful career. I don't know what else could have happened.
3 lone wolves for Mo. 3 birds. Mo is laying the 8 points with the Philadelphia Eagles against Sam Howell and those Washington, formerly racial slurs, formerly football team, now commies. Mo, if the commies can't block the Arizona Cardinals on one snap, how are they going to stop the Philadelphia Eagles, who are second in pressure rate despite being 27th?
They're not gonna. They're not gonna. Sam Howell's going to be under massive pressure. But at the same time, I'm like, do I really want to lay 8 points with a divisional favorite? Absolutely not. So this is, I have like a 9-game coin flip tier, which I think almost all of these games were in that lone wolf wise. But yeah, this one is near the bottom of coin flip tier. I can see that, looking at it. Yeah, I think that this is an awful matchup, obviously, for Washington's offense. We saw what happened when Sam Howell was under pressure. The only team he's moved, this is why you have to love the Bears. But this is the only team that Sam Howell has looked like a professional quarterback against is the Broncos. Okay? So now he's playing another, I don't know about this Eagles secondary necessarily, but this is at least a solid defense and a very strong pass rush against. I know that there's some metrics telling me Washington doesn't have an awful offensive line, but I'm never going to get that Arizona game out of my mind. And then I just watched the Bills absolutely embarrass them. So now I'm even more convinced that I'm right and the metrics are wrong and this offensive line stinks.
Well, they're 32nd. They're 32nd in adjusted sack rate. So
I looked up the pass block win rate. ESPN loves the Commanders. It has them like 12th. There's no way that's right. I just don't believe it. I'm convinced
that is the worst metric out there right now is ESPN's
something win rate.
ESPN. Yeah, I hate that one.
So this is one of those where, like Mo said, rule of NFC East, I couldn't get the commies high. I'm the highest on the commies, and I think I have them below the fold, below the middle of my card. This is one where, and this sounds nuts, but the fact that Howell was out there just still throwing, didn't matter how many interceptions he threw, he was still getting to the back of his hitch and just letting it rip. You need that when you're +8, right? You need, in scenarios where you're down heaps, you need someone who's going to go back there and just throw the ball and have no conscience. What's the Bill Simmons rule of where it's just overconfidence. Just, you can't tell him anything. Like, he could just throw 10 picks, and he's that 11th one, he's just going to drop back and let it rip. And of course, you can get those ugly scenarios where it's 5 turnovers and you lose by 30. Of course, those are within the range of outcomes. But you also get the scenarios where they're frisky and could even win the game outright. So I see Washington as an extremely wide range of outcomes team, which is ultimately why I couldn't get this higher, because they could certainly get their doors blown off by the Eagles in the spot. We move to Brett, who has a lone wolf in his top 5 or near his top 5. Near your top 5. Doesn't matter if it's in it or if it's out of it. Speaking about can't fold your priors, Mo, Brett will never let go of his love for the Los Angeles Chargers.
Well, who's playing quarterback for the Raiders this week?
This might be a revisited on Saturday game.
It's Jimmy G. It's Jimmy G, right?
He's back in practice. Can I put a tinfoil hat on? My conspiracy theory is that everyone knew that was a fraud, fake-ass, embarrassing call, so they told Jimmy G he was in concussion protocol so they could pretend like it was real. Did you guys see that hit? Come on.
He was. So the concussion rules are they're more stringent than ever. Let's just put it that way. After the Tua injuries last year, he was back at practice today, but it was one of them where he wasn't part of all activities. But if he strings together another practice and gets to the walkthrough, maybe he's in there. So there's enough ambiguity such that I think Jimmy G is live to play. And if that's the case...
Okay, let me just say, if he wasn't playing, or if there was any inkling he might not play, this line would be like 9.
Yeah, wouldn't
his
this
backups are the worst in the world.
Yeah, because it's either the destroyer who can't move, can't throw, or it's something called Aiden, which people are excited about, but he's just a something. And we don't know if he meets the threshold necessary to play quarterback in the NFL. If it is,
they're excited about who?
Something Aiden O'Connell, right? Something Aiden.
Purdue.
I don't know who that
Purdue
is.
product.
Oh, you don't even know.
I have no idea who that is.
AOC.
Brett fell off. Brett used to watch college. He used to watch Big Ten. My Big Ten.
It's like 10
His
years
life is
ago.
now improved. That's why. the removal.
I watched Colorado. That's
right. Prime time, baby. So here's the thing. If it's Jimmy G, we know the Jimmy G cap. We've known this for years. If Jimmy G's clean, he can move the rock. And he's got Jacoby and Devontae, who are pretty damn good receivers. If Jimmy's
They're going to wreck this secondary.
If Jimmy's not clean, it could be a disaster, and he could just hand the ball to the other team. The Chargers are struggling to generate pressure, and that's with Joey Bosa, who has missed 2 practices this week. Derwin James has not practiced this week. So we could get clean Jimmy G against a bad secondary that can't stop anybody. And if that's the case, 5.5 is way too high. But like Mo said, if it's one of these, if it's Hoyer or if it's AOC, yeah, there will be tinkering and there will not be
AOC. That's.
I mean, those are his initials.
I capped this for Hoyer. So yeah, this is what I have to revisit either tomorrow or Saturday, because then I can't back the 5.5 if it's Jimmy G.
This is a free space if Jimmy G doesn't play. I don't say that too often, but this is a free space.
Yeah, this is Chargers alternates. This game must be circled right now, right? Like, they can't be taking large wagers on this game. Obviously, the limits don't go up till Sunday anyway, but I don't see any books sticking their necks out in this spot. Okay, I am up next, and I have 2 extremely low lone wolves that I don't have very much of an opinion on either of these. One of these is kind of a double sounder game, as the Los Angeles Rams travel to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. I guess if you had an angry horse, you might get that. The Rams were short road favorites on the look ahead. The Colts are currently short home favorites, -1 I'm seeing. Circa has this as a straight pick'em, and I don't know what to do because Gardner Minshew is terrible. He is just flatly a bad quarterback. Mo, you're furrowing your brow.
Playing. It's 100%.
Come again?
Richardson's playing.
Is he 100% playing? This is the concussion.
I think
don't think it's
100%. Full participant. That's
Okay,
basically
well,
100%.
Then this changes my cap entirely because I now love the Colts. Because I think
was
Richardson.
about to say this is your guy.
I think
he has
Richardson
really dark skin. He runs all the time. You love Anthony Richardson. He covers every week. I mean, what?
He matters. Gardner Minshew is just flatly not a good quarterback. And I don't know how the Rams are doing this. The Rams kicked the crap out of Cincinnati on Monday night, but Stafford blew his dick off twice, and every high leverage spot they couldn't convert on downs. And I'm befuddled by this Los Angeles team. So if this was Minshew, I was flipping a coin and it was slightly weighted to the Rams, but now that it's Richardson, I think anything less than like Colts -2 is wrong. So I like Indy in this spot. Mo really likes Indy in the spot. He's got them in his top 5.
I do. I watched the Rams and I thought they were atrocious against the Bengals. Their pass protection is so bad. I guess the only thing that's scaring me, honestly, is if DeForest Buckner doesn't go. Because I did see that he didn't practice, but some people were speculating that maybe they are just being careful with him because Rich's rule of veteran, they don't care that much if you miss.
What does
practice.
DeForest Buckner have to practice at this point in his career?
Right. So if he's in there, dude, the Rams O-line got embarrassed by Cincy. A Cincy pass rush that I just think is like okay. And sure enough, I think they're like ranking middling in almost everything. And the Colts have been getting after it up front, man. I mean, that's the only thing they have on D. So they've been doing work since people aren't scoring 30 on them every week. So I think the Colts should be favored too. I'm not sure that the Rams are better than the Colts. And yeah, I think Stafford, very one-dimensional offense over there as well. So if they can get to Stafford, which he looked atrocious under pressure, man. Multiple clueless plays back there against, and they got wrecked by the 49ers. The only time they looked good this season was when the Seahawks just absolutely no-showed against them. So, and we know that defense stinks anyways. So I'm ready to get back on the fade the Rams train.
Colts have
Some of these look-aheads last week, man. Rams minus 1.5 on the...
I don't
did
think
that?
that was right from square one. I did
know.
my own, and I
think
thought
that
Colts
was-
should have been favored -1, and that was before they beat the Ravens, which I think was kind of fake. But yeah, they didn't even have their quarterback, and then yeah, the Rams. I think the Rams are just going to be pretty bad and going. It's such an awful spot too. They short rest, multiple time zones, and playing early body clock time. It's a good spot for the Colts.
It is now a consensus pick. My next lone wolf. Surprised. I was the only one to click the Carolina Panthers +5. This was a look ahead of 2.5. Open 3. It's currently 4. But Circa is predicting a further move to 5. And I get it. Because Carolina really cannot do anything on offense with Bryce Young. I understand that. Nobody can separate. Nobody can make a play. But I just can't lay 5 points on the road, outdoors, with something Kirk Cousins against a defense that can generate a bit of pressure. I'll be very happy if Frankie Louvu goes, because he's somebody who can get after it.
Good. I was watching them week 1, and I was like, this guy is good.
He was just a rando special teams guy on the Jets. He was just a gunner, guy who would play like some nickel dime snaps, linebacker, whatever, and then just goes to Carolina, ingests all the PEDs, and becomes one of the best linebackers in the league. I don't understand it. But yeah, I can't do it. I can't click Kirk in the spot. Brett can, though. Brett is all over the Vikes in his top 5.
Yeah, I just see this as a great buying opportunity for the Vikes, who are 0-3. They've not played good football, but they've also been very unlucky with turnovers so far. Like, this team could be 2-1 if not for some stupid backbreaker turnovers by Kirk Cousins. This is like the opposite cap of the Vikes all of last year. Like, now it's positive regression, when last year it was all like capping against the Vikes because of negative regression. I think the metrics tell a better story of what this team actually is. And while 5 is a big number to cover with this defense against anyone, I think it's fair to say this is not a Bryce Young podcast. I just don't think Bryce Young is NFL ready yet. And I don't think this team can cover big numbers in garbage time like some of the other bad teams in this league, like the Texans. So that's why I like the Vikes. I think the Vikes could just roll in this game.
Vikings -7 turnover differential. They're 26th in EPA generated off takeaways.
My problem with that is that Kirk earned a lot of those.
For sure.
He stinks
Those
in the
fumbles,
pocket this year.
yeah, those fumbles are definitely predictive. Now, who falls on them? Who knows, right? Once an oblong object hits the turf, it's anybody's game. But the actual losing of the football is definitely predictive. Speaking of the Texans, we'll move over to Donnie's Lone Wolves and basically shit on him while he's not here. And he's got top 5, laying the 2.5 on the road against the Houston Texans. Brett, I have to take your temperature. I'm the highest on Houston. I'm absolutely in love with this team. I'm in love with CJ Stroud. I'm in love with D'Amico Ryans. I mean, he's taking a bunch of dudes and making them play max effort on defense. You're the top 5 guy, but you also thought the Texans were drawing live to win this division. Am I crazy when I say the Houston Texans are better at football than the Pittsburgh Steelers?
I don't think that's that crazy to say. Like, I think the Steelers are very average to below average, and the Texans they're climbing their way up, man. Like this, I said, like, this is the time where the Texans were really to start to figure it out. You know, give Stroud some time to learn how to, learn the pace of this league and, get some chemistry with his receivers. And we saw that last week. They were flying. So yeah, I don't think it's that crazy to say that Houston is better than Pittsburgh, especially in this spot. This is a great spot for Houston.
Mo made my favorite point this week, literally of any podcast, medium, anything about what we saw last week on Beat the Closing Number, the opening lines with Eli, when he said when he was talking about Pittsburgh's offense against the Raiders. If ever there was a get-right spot, the Steelers should have come out and blown doors. And save for a massive touchdown to something called Calvin Austin, who I thought was Tavon for a second. They stunk. The Steelers' offense stunk, Mo.
I'm seriously worried about this Steelers offense. I think rightfully you have to be. They had trouble blocking the Raiders pass rush. Like legit, it was like every drop back, he had about 3 steps to get rid of it. Like their quick stuff was like fine, but they, aside from that bomb, they didn't get anything down the field against a pretty, I don't know if bad honestly does it justice. This is a bottom 5 Raiders secondary. They are really, really bad. Marcus Peters jumping multiple routes, could have had multiple picks.
Almost got one. He almost got one.
I mean, that was concerning, dude. I think you have to be concerned if you have any kind of Steelers future equity whatsoever. I don't think it's in good shape. Now, all that being said, this is an entirely backup offensive line at this point. I think it's literally all backups. They might have a third string, which I don't even think third string left tackles are a thing. I think that pretty much means somebody off the street or the practice squad literally trying to block Highsmith. Because TJ Watt usually lines up against right tackle, I think. This is terrifying, dude. I mean, CJ Stroud has had some nice composure at times, I think, in the pocket. But, man, Highsmith is very, very good, okay? He is probably a top 10 pass rusher. Definitely top 20 against some dude. Like, literally just some guy nobody's ever heard of is going to be trying to block him. Okay? It's a something that I can't even name right now because we don't even know who it is yet. So, yeah, and that's the side that doesn't have to block TJ Watt. So, I don't know what's going to happen up front, but at the same time, there's a very simple shortcut for handicapping at times. Rich knows it. This could be better coach, better quarterback getting points here.
Yes.
So I don't know what to do with this game.
I think the Texans should be favored in this game.
Well, that's insane. But
is it?
Yeah, I don't think I can.
Is it insane?
But if better coach, better quarterback has a plus by it, shouldn't you just always click on that side? Especially when everyone's lining up to hammer the Steelers. You should see the Discord. The second it went to 2.5, Lions Discord. Hurry, everyone! No. Steelers minus 2.5. I'm like,
Pittsburgh
guys,
was on the West Coast.
Steelers.
West Coast. That nightmarish red eye that they basically lost all of Monday.
And then back to Houston. It's rough.
More importantly, can't believe you're getting plus money on the Texans to win this football game.
I hope they get it. I hope they win.
DP's next lone wolf, Bucks at Saints. Saints are a team that I wanted to love, but I guess I tinkered a little bit and pushed them right out of my top 5. They bubbled. A great spot where Brett's classic, we're laying the hook in the contest when you're not laying the hook in real life. So you've got that little sneaky advantage. And beyond, I'm burying the lead. How could I bury the lead? Brett, just say it. I'm the worst host ever. Jameis week.
Dude, he didn't even bite when I offered what time it was when Derek Carr went out last week. He wasn't even watching the games. Brett gave up.
It's Jameis week. I think this is a really good spot in where 75% of tickets are on Tampa Bay. Like, I don't understand this. I think the Saints, this is trenches, and Jameis cold last week is going to be different than a week of practice from Jameis. Like, Jameis is a pro. Everybody's got this vision of Jameis as an insane dude who just hands the ball to the other team, but he's just like your run-of-the-mill backup quarterback now, which, I mean, what can Derek Carr be better than your run-of-the-mill backup quarterback, honestly? So, Brett, you take it away. It's Jameis week. It's your Saints. You love this spot.
First of all, Mo, I thought you were talking about the commies with that text last week. That's why I sent that brisket gif.
I know you love him too, so it's fine.
Yeah, I really like this spot for the Saints. One, like you said, It's a great contest play. I think people are going to see this north of 3 after the Saints blew it last week with Jameis coming in. They're going to be all over Tampa. And 2, with a full week of prep for Jameis, Kamara's back, and the Bucs defense all beat up off a short week against a physical Eagles team. This is just a beautiful spot for New Orleans. Like, to me, the Saints are just a better football team. Even if you think this line is fair, which, maybe it is, I think the leverage we get potentially in the contest makes this a really strong play, and I think Jameis is going to go out and shred this week.
When I read this injury report, all I heard was Mo's voice in the back of my head. Look at these injuries! Jamel Dean, Kalijah Cansey, Vita Vea. If defense is your calling card and these guys aren't practicing, Mo, we need to be sounding the alarms in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, and I think that Jameis' point is a good one, and one that I've been thinking about all week for sure. I'm with you, Rich. Coming in cold, different story. I think full week of reps with the ones, he's going to look a lot better. So, yeah, I'm a little bit interested in the Saints as well because, yeah, I think a lot of people might play the Bucs, and I think the Bucs might get wrecked again. They looked how I thought they were going to look against the Eagles. I told you guys the Eagles were going to roll in that game, and the Saints have a good defense too, man. I think they could dominate this game in the trenches, like you said, Rich. So I'm interested in the Saints, but at the same time, man, it hurts laying that sort of number in a game that I don't think is going to see a lot of points, and the market doesn't think is going to see a lot of. But this is
the same thing as the Browns.
Tom Brady and Drew Brees are rolling in their graves right now. These offenses, 41 total between these teams inside.
Finally, the final lone wolf of the week. DP couldn't do it. You absolutely, I don't know if you need to put them in your top 5. I don't know if you need to put them on the card. But you absolutely have to martingale Zach Wilson and my beloved. The market is saying this is a no-brainer. It's already coming down. It's 9.5 in the contest. It's just ticked down to 8.5 on Circa. Nobody loves it, okay? Nobody has us anywhere near their card. But we all know, deep in our loins, Mo, that you just have to click the Jets in this spot. Sleepy Chiefs. Maybe get some defense out of the Jets. I'll tell you one thing. Under on 41. This is... get your alt unders ready, because even if the Chiefs blow doors, it could be like 35-3, and the under still cashes.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is actually a game where the Jets could get their running game going and get Breece Hall rocking a little bit, shorten the game, move the sticks, and at least kick some field goals. The Chiefs have been a little bit weak against the run this year. We know this. They've been like this in the past. We know the Chiefs have built their team to stop opposing passing games because very often the Chiefs are up 24-14 and they don't care if you run the ball. So, yeah, I think they might actually have a little bit of balance here, but I am terrified of Zach Wilson against this defense. I know nobody thinks of this Chiefs defense as elite, but I think it might be, and Steve Spagnuolo is an excellent coordinator, and he is going to make Zach Wilson's life hell like he said he was going to make the next quarterback's life hell. Okay, so I just can't actually be confident in this, but yeah, like you said, I just feel like you cannot click Chiefs, right? I mean, I don't know. This is tough, but I think Jets is the side. This could just be a workmanlike 24-17 win.
You make a great point there about this KC defense. It is built to play against modern teams. Elite against the pass. 4th in pass defense EPA, 3rd in success rate. But they are struggling to stop the run. 28th in adjusted line yards, 25th in rush defense EPA. So the Jets could get something on the ground going. It just needs to be low scoring, cool. Sleepy Chiefs. Brett is just shaking his head over there. Well, you couldn't click Chiefs. You can't click the Chiefs.
No, of course not.
Yeah,
but I don't know what to. I never know what to do with these Chiefs when they're laying big numbers. Like I thought the Bears were a good play last week. Clearly, that was not the case. So I have no idea.
The Bears did cover my plus 35.5 live, though.
Wow. All right, 9 Lone Wolves in total. Mo had the Falcons, Hawks, and Eagles. Brett had the Chargers. I had the Rams and Panthers. And Donnie had the Steelers, Bucks, and Chiefs. Let's take a deep breath, collect ourselves, and make our Week 4 card.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire.
3-1-1 last week, so he leads things off. Mr. Minotti, who was the first team on the card?
It's Jameis week.
Back at it with the same team you put on last week. I cringed last week because I said who day. That is the Bengals. It is who dat. Going to beat them Saints? Hopefully nobody. As they are minus 3.5 at home against the Buccaneers. Mo, you are up next, and you are putting on the grossest game of the year. Congrats, buddy.
I clicked on the Bears, but
I get it.
I feel like it's a good spot to click on the Bears.
Man,
nobody in the world believes in them. This is click on the team that looked the worst. This checks all the boxes.
They're playing a team that just lost by 50. How could they look the worst?
The line's 3. But nobody's going to take them still. I really believe people won't take them even though the line is 3.
Well, I don't think anybody's going to take either side.
This is going to be 300-300 in this game. All right, DP's got the
next
first
best thing to leverage.
Probably. DP's got the first consensus pick on the card. It is a home dog catching 2 points. It's the Tennessee Titans. If Joe Burrow continues to play this bad, this is kind of rule of Desmond Ridder against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Titans are an extreme pass funnel. They are elite at stopping the run. They cannot stop the pass to save their lives. But does it matter if Joe Burrow can't complete a forward pass? This Bengals offense is horrendous. So DP is taking Vrabel. He's taking peanuts for brains. I don't know what Vrabel's cranium contains. And sticking the Titans on the card. Is anybody concerned?
No, I like the spot for Tennessee. I wanted to put this top 5. I just don't know what Burrow is. Am I supposed to believe
That's what he is. He stinks.
He's
and get
hack.
off the field. Don't make any excuses. If you're hurt, don't play. If you play, play well. It's the NFL, man.
I don't know why they're playing him.
Did they need to sell some of those?
Jake Browning is the backup. Burrow on one leg is better than Jake Browning. I'm sorry.
I mean, they're pitiful. And then you got Higgins and Chase with some alligator arms on top of it, and people are lining up to click them. You would think that people would have learned. People would have watched them be pitiful. But no, 72% of the tickets on Cincy as a road favorite. I don't get it.
The Bengals are going to be very popular, I think, in the contest. I'm
gotta
iffy
show it
about
to
this
me.
one, but I think for leverage sake, it's probably good.
You got to show
Especially
it to me.
since the Titans were super popular last week and they absolutely took a dump on the field, so nobody's going to want to go back to the Titans this week. So yeah, they probably will be, or the Bengals will be popular.
Here's what Donnie had to say. I forgot I had this.
Call me crazy, but I feel like backing Mike Vrabel and the Tennessee Titans as an underdog is kind of a safe spot overall.
He said
listen,
safe.
I know the Bengals are coming off a win. They kind of look like they got a little bit better, but I don't know. I just really don't see it. I think that the way that you attack the Tennessee Titans is through that pass funnel down the middle of the field, but ultimately I haven't seen anything too positive from Joe Burrow and the Bengals offense. Therefore, I just don't know if they really have what it takes to attack a weakness in the Tennessee defense, or at least where they want to push people towards. Now, I mean, could they do it? Yeah, I guess the potential is there, but I think we're starting to see the sample size this year through a handful of games that the Bengals, for whatever reason, just don't necessarily look right. And then, I think the Titans are a pretty hard-nosed team overall. They get up for games, they play well.
No.
I think that's largely because of what Vrabel does. And, I think that they're going to be able to just kind of stay with this Bengals team. And then if we got, the running game for the Titans getting off a little bit, that might open things up here and there for Tannehill. I know we're not the biggest Tannehill fans overall, but I think he can be competent in this sort of setting and, help this offense score, help keep this game close, and, maybe even get the Titans the victory.
Mo's the biggest Tannehill fan west of the Mississippi.
It's hard to argue with anything Donnie said, really.
Yeah. Let's go Titans.
I like it. This is a very collective pick.
You got that right. Speaking of collective pick, they should be favored. If Brett's going back to the well, I'm going back to the well with the Houston Texans. CJ Stroud, take us to the promised land. All you Lines, Discord, clowns, fading all of you. Let's go Houston. Brett, you look concerned.
A little bit, because how are they going to block these guys?
Quick game. Get some screens out there.
Is Love aware the other players are allowed to hit him? I'm honestly wondering at this point.
What is he doing?
The data was showing that Love was kind of fraudulent so far.
Yes.
God,
success rate wise, yeah.
I don't know why I let you guys talk me into Packers. I would have been Lone Wolf Lions. I would have looked so smart.
It. You need to stop that.
You asked us a side. We each typed in a side. There was no talking you in to anything here. Gun to head, we took Packers.
All right. Let's get the collective pick.
I know what this is already.
Wrong sound. Say it, Mo.
Fix it?
No, your new line. You have a new line this year. You've said it multiple times.
I'm lost.
Keep it up, buddy. You're doing great.
The collective chooses the New York Giants.
Look at that surprise from Minotti.
I thought it was going to be something else.
It is an ugly week for the collective. Normally, the team that gets on averages about 10 confidence points. So to take you guys behind the curtain, we pick every game, we rank them from top to bottom, and then we assign 100 confidence points however we want to. Normally, the consensus pick is in like the 10 to 15 range on average. This week, it's 9. So not a lot of consensus this week. Mo, you're on the other side, so you must have concerns.
I mean, I do, but I know this is the sharp side, so I guess good luck us. I want to know why you didn't put Dolphins on.
Well,
I thought Dolphins was going to be for sure.
Well, this is
the
the discussion.
Miami and the Dolphins, the greatest football team.
This is one of those Vikings games from last year where there's going to be 1,500 people on each side. So I love the Dolphins. I think this is incorrect, this number. Is it ever going to get to 3? What is this line?
Yes.
You really think it's
headed to 3?
You think it's going to get to 3? Who is betting the Bills to 3? I don't understand it.
People are doing it. When it was 2.5, it moved mostly to 3 from what I saw.
I mean,
it was an expensive 2.5.
I mean, I'm willing to make an executive because I'm the highest on the Giants. I'm willing to make an executive order of making the Dolphins the collective play, and then I can just flip a coin between the Giants and the Texans because the G's and the Texans are both very ugly sides. And I think we all as a group have much more belief in the Dolphins in this game. Especially
Do we?
the full
I thought
three.
Brett liked the Bills.
No, this is a consensus pick. It bubbled your top 5. What are you so worried about, Brett? This is...
Isn't it in my top 5? I'm not worried at all. I just have the Giants higher. That's all.
Well, I'm happy to put the Giants on over the Texans because the Giants obviously had more love from the entire collective. And the Giants were my top pick. So I was sniped by the collective. And it makes sense because if we're worried about... This is why we need to be tinkering. This is... your concerns you guys brought up about the Pittsburgh defensive line was something I was looking at through rose-colored glasses of CJ Stroud navigating muddy pockets and making plays. But it's a lot different.
I looked up his... I thought he looked okay. I looked up his PFF grade under pressure. You don't want to know, okay?
Oh, not good? Man.
32.
Yeah, to my eye, he was navigating some muddy pockets and delivering some good throws, but like who are these Jags pass rushers even? Like it's not like he was escaping the toughest pressure. So I'm happy to stick the Giants on as my pick, and we can make the Dolphins the collective pick. I'm very happy with that.
Good with that.
Donnie was the lowest on the Dolphins.
I just think this line's wrong.
I put the Dolphins above
This
the
is-
Bills in my power ranking.
How could they not be? How could they not be?
I think I did too.
How could
Josh
the
Allen has
Dolphins-
not been good this year.
The
How could the
Bills are
Dolphins-
can crushers. They're
Yes.
what we call in the fight game can crushers.
I was in the fight game now.
When you... I've been betting MMA for 15 years. When they face somebody who's bad, they mollywop them. When they face somebody who punches them in the mouth, they're teetering a little bit.
The other
Dolphins
consensus...
are not
Go
going
for
to
it.
get steamrolled.
No. The Dolphins haven't played good defense yet. That's the other thing. Where they're starting to learn this Fangs defense. They don't have Ramsey yet. Obviously, they won't have Ramsey for this game. But I don't think the Dolphins have put together a good defensive game yet. And they're going to at some point, I think. Because
This is
I believe
a tough
in their...
one, though. That their corners are at a massive mismatch against the Bills receivers. They definitely are.
Plural?
Wow.
Something
Moshe.
Gabe can occasionally make a big play.
Wow.
I don't know who these Dolphins corners are. Like, well, I didn't know who one of them was. I looked at his name and I don't know his name.
Eli's
Fuhu?
out there.
Kuhu? What's his name? I think he's the nickelback.
Yeah, I know Eli's out on the boundary with X on the other side. Yeah, I think this is a good spot for, honestly, a Dolphins team that I think is the best team in the league. Numero uno. I don't know who's better.
They have
I think the
best
Chiefs
coach
are better
in
for
the
sure.
NFL.
Are the Chiefs
Best
better?
coach in the NFL.
I mean, who's... Don't tell me Shanahan, because he's a hack.
The fakest sharp.
How many 2-win seasons does McDaniel have as head coach? Or 3-win seasons, those pitiful Niner starts. Who's better than McDaniels? McDaniel? McDaniel.
McDaniel.
It's
Yeah, don't confuse those
McDaniels
two.
in Las Vegas. Yeah, that is maybe one of the biggest gaps in the league.
Jalen Waddle back. Dolphins
I'm worried.
double circled here. Lost
I
two
should-
massive high leverage games to the Bills last year.
I should give them their due credit.
The bills make me wanna.
I learned what circling the wagons was, by the way, this week. Do you know what circling the wagons means?
I'm actually not sure I do.
So, Mo, you're going to have to close your ears. But on this week's episode of Ahsoka, a Star Wars story, there was a race of aliens that circled their village. And I was watching an explainer video, and they explained that they took that from circling the wagons. And groups of wagons would do that to protect the middle. They would put all the people in the middle that maybe needed kids or women.
I knew that. You didn't know that?
I had no idea. None whatsoever. Circle the wagons. So that's really like a nitty move. That's not. I always thought circle the wagons, like round up. Let's
No,
go.
it's very
Yeah, like the
shelter.
No, this is
Everyone hide.
shelter in place. The other consensus game that didn't make anybody's top 5, nor did it get to anybody's top half, was a single sounder game. We all took the Cardinals plus 14 against the Niners. Brett, you're shaking your head.
Yeah, I have no notes on this game. Who cares?
How can you not take the Cardinals when they cover every week and they're getting 14? That's literally my reason.
Yeah. They've just been frisky. What has shown us that they're not going to go out and play football decently, right? Like, the only thing that's scary is that their biggest weakness looks like it's defending the run, and the Niners can do that Wisconsin thing, Mo, of even though they're like running out the game, they score another 20 points.
What Miami did last week.
Yeah,
So that's
Josh
the
was
only way.
asking me between a couple of his running backs that are very bad this week, should he play Elijah Mitchell or some other guy I don't remember? And I said, probably Elijah Mitchell. And he was like, well, this guy got all these snaps. I said, yeah, it's not about, I think, this guy is better than or worse than Elijah every week. He's just in a good spot this week.
Yeah, for sure. So that is the show. We're out of Survivor, but Mo, you do write one of the most well-read Survivor columns on all of the internet. So we would like some insights. What are we thinking about Survivor this week?
I think this week you could be a nit for sure, but I think, man, this week has some tough ones. I think if you want to be really aggressive, Denver, of course, even though I like Chicago, so I wouldn't do that. But I think New Orleans is actually pretty good. If you want to be a nit, though, I would completely understand it in a smaller pool. San Francisco, because they don't have any more good spots till like week 11. So in a big pool, obviously it's different. So I wouldn't do that, but
Circa's different too because they play on Christmas.
right.
The island
San Francisco
games,
was the most important team to save in Circa. So this is actually a really tough week in Circa because of that. If you saved Philly, it's probably fine to use Philly. But yeah, it's a tough week, I would say. Obviously, very, very easy layup though. Somehow if Jimmy G doesn't go, Chargers are the play.
Yeah, for sure. Going to be eating a lot of chalk, though, because everybody will be working with that same exact information.
What about Minnesota?
Yeah, I was trying to look for some pivots here. If we do think Bryce is that bad,
You gotta
Brett's
make
shaking.
sure Bryce is
Brett,
in
wait a
before you
minute.
click Minnesota.
Brett, you had Vikes laying heaps on the road in your top 5, and you're shaking
I
your
know,
head
but
about.
They play home to Chicago later this year,
Yeah.
so I think that's the spot you have to
That's
save
true.
them for. I don't want to take
Chiefs?
them on the road.
Chiefs, if you haven't taken them yet.
Chiefs have a very, very, very tough schedule down the stretch. So obviously they'll still be favored in a lot of spots. I think most people are going to be most excited to use them at home against Denver or in week 12 with the holiday slate for sure. I think that's good in Circa. So if you don't have to do that, then week 12, if you don't have to use them week 12 now is probably good.
All right, that's the show. Follow these guys on Twitter at Brett Colson, COLLSON, at Mo Nuwara, NUWWARAH. I'm at Rich T. Ryan. Show some love to DP as well, at Donnie_Peters. 5-0. Absolutely need it. See you guys next week. Peace.